Imagine a queen so powerful that she faced down one of the most brutal colonial empires and won. A woman so feared that even in exile she built an empire from nothing and waged war for 30 years. She was no ordinary ruler. She was a strategist, a warrior, a queen who sat on the battlefield, spear in hand, leading her army into battle. And when men tried to silence her, she didn't just fight back, she rewrote history. This is the forgotten story of Queen Nzinga, the woman who defied the Portuguese, outmaneuvered rival kingdoms, and proved that Africa was never weak. But here's the real question. Why don't we hear about her? Why does history erase legends like her while glorifying European conquerors? Stay with me because by the end of this video you'll never look at African history the same way again. Now let's dive into the incredible rise of Queen Nzinga. Nzinga was born in 1583 in the powerful kingdom of Ndongo in present-day Angola. From birth she was different. While most princesses were trained in etiquette, Nzinga was trained in warfare. She learned how to wield a sword, ride into battle and negotiate power. Her father, King Kaluanji, saw her potential. But her brother Mbandi saw something else: competition. The moment he became king, he exiled Nzinga and slaughtered her only son. She lost everything. But she was not broken. No, she was waiting. Watching. Burning. And when the Portuguese tightened their grip on Ndongo, her brother had no choice but to crawl back to the sister he had betrayed. He needed her intelligence. He needed her strength. But Nzinga had bigger plans. In 1622, Nzinga was sent to negotiate peace with the Portuguese. But when she arrived at the meeting, she was given no chair. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate insult meant to show that she was beneath them. But Nzinga? She did the unthinkable. She signaled to one of her attendants, who immediately dropped to all fours. Nzinga sat on their back, perfectly poised, eye to eye with the Portuguese governor. It was a message that rang through history. I am not beneath you. I am your equal. The Portuguese were stunned. In that moment they realized something: they were not dealing with just another tribal leader. They were dealing with a queen who understood the game of power. The Portuguese agreed to peace, but they lied. They continued their raids, enslaving thousands. And then Mbandi, the brother who had exiled Nzinga, mysteriously died. Some say it was suicide. Others whisper it was poison. One thing was certain: Nzinga took the throne. But Nzinga's rise to power was not welcomed by all. As she took her place on the throne, voices of opposition erupted throughout the kingdom. Traditional elders, military leaders, and even some of her own people stood in defiance. A woman cannot lead us," one elder scoffed, slamming his staff into the ground. "The throne belongs to a king, not a queen," a warrior shouted. Nzinga, seated on the royal throne, did not flinch. Her piercing gaze swept across the room, studying the faces of those who doubted her. She had expected resistance. After all, women had never ruled before. She slowly rose to her feet, her regal robes flowing like a river of power. "Do you doubt me because I am a woman?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. "Did I not negotiate for our survival? Did I not fight beside our warriors? Who among you has shed more blood for this land than I have?" The room fell silent. Some lowered their heads, ashamed. Others clenched their fists, unwilling to yield. Nzinga took another step forward. "If a king must be strong, then know that I am stronger. If a king must be fearless, then tell me, who among you is braver than I? The elders exchanged uneasy glances. Warriors shifted on their feet. Even those who had opposed her began to doubt their own words. And at that moment a few voices in the crowd whispered, "Perhaps she is meant to rule after all." But Nzinga knew her battle for respect had only just begun. Nzinga didn't just crush the rebellion, she did something unheard of. She made the kingdom of Matamba her new power base and transformed it into a fortress of resistance. She didn't just fight the Portuguese, she hunted them. She launched guerrilla attacks, striking at night, freeing captives and turning them into warriors. She even made an alliance with the Dutch to drive the Portuguese out. And when she needed more soldiers, she took it one step further. She formed an elite force of female warriors. Yes, long before the Dora Milaje of Black Panther, Nzinga had an army of unstoppable women at her command. She wasn't just a queen anymore. She was a warlord. Nzinga understood something that the Portuguese never did. War isn't just about weapons. It's about fear. She spread rumors that she had magical powers, that she could turn invisible in battle. She even performed ritual sacrifices before war, making her enemies believe she was protected by the spirits. And it worked. The Portuguese soldiers feared her. They called her the Black Panther Queen. One general even wrote in his letters, "This woman is more dangerous than any army we have faced." He had them terrified. And when your enemy fears you, you've already won half the battle. For over 30 years, Nzinga waged war against the Portuguese. She never surrendered, never bowed. Even as she aged, she rode into battle alongside her warriors, spear in hand. But time was relentless. She knew that to truly secure her people's future, she needed more than war, she needed strategy. So she did something unexpected. She turned to diplomacy, negotiating a treaty that allowed her people to maintain their autonomy. And in 1663, at the age of 80, Queen Nzinga took her final breath, not as a defeated ruler but as a legend. Even after her death, the Portuguese could never fully conquer her people. Her resistance inspired future African leaders, from the warriors of the Zulu kingdom to the revolutionaries who fought against colonial rule centuries later. Nzinga didn't just fight a war, she planted the seed of resistance that would grow for generations. Here's the question. Why isn't Queen Nzinga's story taught in every history book? Why do we hear about European conquerors but not the African leaders who fought back? It's time to change that. If you believe history should tell our stories, hit the like button and share this video with someone who needs to know the truth. And if you want more untold stories of Africa's greatest legends, subscribe now because trust me, this is just the beginning. The world needs to know that Africa was never weak. And together we'll make sure these stories are never forgotten. Stay tuned. The next legend is coming soon.